Hello, just tapping in with another video, and I just want to start this one by saying that this is for awareness, just sharing some thoughts that occurred, just because I think that awareness is there. The Order Osho talks a lot about awareness in his discourses, and if you appreciate awareness from his standpoint, many things that are that hurt people in the human experience can be overcome with awareness, and some of the best experiences can be experienced through awareness. So I made a couple videos just talking about different ways of appreciating details in an environment, and that can actually change outcomes, I think, starting from very small to going broad by just changing awareness about things. One, and discipline and awareness go together, I think. And so what I was thinking is like sometimes you can get stuck on something if you look at it directly, and it's almost like, if you can imagine, like I think in the Jungle Book, I want to reference the Jungle Book a little bit in this video. In the Jungle Book, when you look at the snake, he talks like this, and you are getting a little sleepy. Ooh, yeah, sleep. And his eyes are going crazy like that, and you're getting like wound up like that. But there was only one character in that film that could really deal with him, and that was Shere Khan, the tiger, because he just went straight to the heart of the matter. And he didn't entertain it, because as soon as you entertain his eyes or his speech, then you're his. But I think that a lot of our problems are like that if we look at it on the surface and we don't look start to look through it. So I think that, like, I made some videos talking about like violence, especially like violence towards black males. And there's been different times in my life where I've faced violence, and I would say that I was thinking that if you think about like the violence that we like, so if you take like a lot of music, like maybe different forms of music, but especially like some like violent themes in music, some things, like, you can understand things when you make correlations. So you have a lot of violence in music. We can appreciate that we struggle with that in modern context, but we also struggle with consumption, a lot of consumption. Now, if you think about it, a human being can only consume so much, right? Like, I think there's a famous there's a mixed martial artist named Khabib Nurmagomedov, and you can really learn a lot if you listen to some of his interviews. And in one of them, he was saying that he was appreciating, like, they were talking about how successful he is. He's saying, yeah, but I can only eat so much. So he's saying, as much wealth as he has, there's only so much he can consume himself. There's only so much he can eat. And that's true of a lot of people. But I think, like, in modern terms, we're so used to consuming that sometimes it can get unhealthy, but sometimes we consume just for the sake of it. So, like, I don't have anything better to do. Let me go consume something. And I think we all do that. But if we can't really, we can consume more than we can ingest. I think most of us, and we can collect more than we can hoard. But where does this consumption go? What is the most consuming thing that can consume, ingest, and not get stuffed, and not what can really consume to no end? What can consume with no, what is there that consumes that has no satiety, no fullness? I would say that's fire. Fire is what consumes like that. And so I think that a lot of times that we think that we're very modern in human terms, but we don't. There's something called evolutionary psychology, where you look at modern behavior, values, experiences within the context of what human beings have experienced to this point. And a lot of things are are not different at all. If you were to interject, if you were to just change the terms from you have the modern technology, obviously, but you go back to older iterations of human experience, the actual I was maybe say the terms are the same, but no, the expression is the same, but the terms are different. So if you can imagine how. So what is, if you appreciate like a dog, or a dog in nature, a beast in nature, a bear, a tiger, a dog, that is really formidable. There's something so ferocious about a dog. I was doing a delivery last night at and I was getting off into like a rural area, and I was like, there's got to be some wolves out here. So I turned the volume down because I see a lot of wolves when I'm delivering at night. And then I get to like this residence, and it's like about a good 20 or 30 yards off the road, and I had already been going down a real rural road for a long time. I turned the sound down because I knew there had to be wolves. I opened the door, and there's a German Shepherd. It looked like a wolf. There's a German Shepherd come to meet my leg as I opened the door. I had no idea there was any animal out there, and that German Shepherd was on me. In nature, that's how formidable dogs could be. And you can imagine that we as humans might not have the upper hand on beasts all the time, but what is it that holds nature in check, also other humans in check? I think that would be fire. Even in the movie Jungle Book, it was fire that had Shere Khan captivated. So like you have like a lot of you have like a lot of like, you know, like you have like a lot of, you listen to like a lot of like music, and it's very violent, right? And not only is it violent, but you have like is bold, it's violent, and it's like group, because it's like we this and we that. But yet if it's that formidable, why would we care about snitching? Because who would we have to answer to if we're that violent and we're also organized and we're bold? It would be the group that has more organization around fire. That I think that's what really keeps things in check, is fire. But something about fire is that it's very captivating, and it is very intoxicating. You know, a lot of people say like materialism this and materialism that. I think what's more profound to people on a primal level is what has been wrought with fire and heat is very impressive, more so than just a simple physical artifact. Whereby could someone mold this metal into such a shape? Whereby could somebody come about this? I think that what we appreciate about modern reality, what we are infatuated with, all of us, is fire. Just we're not very much different than our ancestors who would have been fawning over fire. And so a lot of, if you look at what gives us our standard of living, the things that we enjoy, also the things that we have the leisure to enjoy, because if it wasn't for what we're doing with fire, we'd be yet tasked with a lot heavier labor than we are currently. So I think that all of our privileges and graces and amenities, a lot of them are a byproduct of fire. But fire is very consumptive and must constantly be fed, which is part of why I think that's what our consumption amounts to, is fueling fire. But then but that doesn't stop at the natural environment. The fire consumes. Fire is all consuming, and that it includes that all aspects of the natural environment. A forest fire will burn all the trees and plants and animals and humans. And I think that some of the themes that we have around violence are actually more so like a sacrifice to fire. Is what, if you appreciate, like if you listen to a lot of violent music, there's not a really good strong reason to be that violent a lot of times. I know there's different lifestyles and different like different like stuff like brotherhood, but there's not really a really clear context of like to get violent like that. I think everyone watching this, you might have had a time where you really felt quite beside yourself about a situation where if you didn't have something to ground you could have got violent there. But I would say it might be a lot more personal in that sense, and like there'd be some context if you got that worked up. But a lot of this violent stuff that we see, violent themes in popular culture, it's almost like, if you can imagine like dancing around a fire in a cakewalk fire, where people are worshiping the fire, but they may or may not realize that it's going to take yet fuel for the fire, such as the actual very worshipers and participants. And so it's like a cakewalk like that. So like at a certain point, someone must be sacrificed in that spirit, and that would be the most vulnerable people, the most marginalized people, such as like people of color. Where the times where I've come, there were times where I've seen the potential for violence. There had been not a very clear context or a real strong impetus. It's more so sacrifice for the sake of sacrifice. And I think that in older times, like when they actually did like worship of idols, at a certain point, to worship an idol, at one point one becomes a sacrifice to that idol. You can't truly worship something as consumptive and all-encompassing as fire without becoming a worship in itself to fire. But most people would want to sacrifice any and everyone else first. But I think you become consumed by fire if you fixate on it. So in modern terms, we are fixated on fire, and we are sacrificing human beings, marginal people on the edge, and also the environment. The most vulnerable aspects of the natural world are being sacrificed to fire. I think that's what we're experiencing.